Okay, so today we're going to find out, should we get into vintage sets or modern sets as a new collector?
Let's do it. Nerds.
So, okay,
All
I have a question for you. So there's tons of collectors out there, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, Pokemon has been around for
25th anniversary last year.
25 years, okay? And they're still pumping cards out, right? And I know you have a lot of these cards, specifically a lot of a lot of those older cards. So, like, my question is, like, what's it like to collect vintage cards as opposed to, like, the new modern sets that are coming out right now? Like,
Okay.
what's it like, or what, maybe, like, what do you recommend? Would you, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. So there's a big difference, obviously, between vintage and modern. Besides that, the huge price difference. You know what I mean? The thing
For
is vintage cards. I would recommend to collect if A, it brings you a lot of like personal joy, like nostalgic,
Right.
or B, you're really trying to invest in the Pokemon game. You know, so you can buy cards now that have shown that has a really good trend to get a lot of money in the future. You know, so if I don't necessarily like vintage cards because of whatever, but I know they're going to have a lot of value, then yeah, maybe look into it. The thing is if you're just starting out, just go with modern. Modern, you can get.
Okay.
You literally can go to the store right now, pick up a pack, and you have an actual chance to get a $200 card, a $400 card, even more.
Even if it's small.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small chance.
Exactly. Yeah,
The
small
chance is
chance. And for $5. If you wanted that
Right.
same chance to get a really good vintage card, you'd have to buy like a $800 pack,
Yeah.
So it's like, how many $800 packs do you want to try to buy to gamble and get a good vintage card?
And that's if you can even find those packs, right? Like,
Yeah.
Is that easy to find? Is it easy to find
It's
vintage
easy to
packs?
it's easy to find if you know where to look. Like, for example, if you go to these like events that have people selling cards and selling stuff,
Okay.
like that's pretty much their whole booth, then there's a really good chance they're going to have a few vintage packs, if not a stack of them. eBay has some, but beware of like fakes, because people are
Yeah.
getting really good at making them legit looking until you open them up and it's a bunch of G.I. Joe. you know what I'm talking about. So
You know who you are.
yeah, if you start out collecting, definitely start with newer ones, because not only do you get a lot of packs for cheap, a lot of cards for cheap, but you can get literally hundreds of dollars worth of cards for like $5, if you're lucky. I collect both. So I collect my vintage sets because they were what I grew up with. I started and I pretty much finished right before the huge spike of 2020, when everyone was spending their stimulus check on Pokemon instead of, stimulating the economy,
That was a big spike.
Yeah, there's a more political stuff there.
We stimulated the economy
I stimulated my binder.
of Pokemon.
Yeah. So I actually finished a lot of my vintage sets. I think I have about 23 different sets.
23.
Different meaning I have a...
And we're talking every single card in those sets, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Completely. Not just the holos. But 23 because I have like the fossil in English and fossil in Japanese. To me, that's 2 sets.
Okay.
You know?
I would agree.
So
'Cause
it's
they're not...
like...
Oh, well, that's a question. Are they the same? So I know a lot of our viewers probably are only into English cards. So, like, is your English set exactly the same as your Japanese
Dude,
set?
there is a huge difference. All right. So check this out
If
real
you want
quick.
to jump into that.
Oh, yeah. I totally want to. You guys have to see this. 1 second. All right. So here's a great example of the differences between some vintage cards. So we'll start with these two. These are both English. One's shadowless, one's not. You know it's shadowless because you can see that there's no shadow along this edge. Where there's a shadow along this edge. Does that make sense?
Okay, so shadow around the actual artwork itself.
Right. But look at the character. Notice anything different? Look at the wings. The wings look green and green versus blue. The guy looks like a dark, deeper orange versus the like yellow orange. Even the font. Look at the HP, the 20 HP. The font is different too. So it's like there is a subtle difference to collectors when it comes to at least
even
shadowless.
the holographic is slightly different.
Yeah, slightly different. Got some differences in a few corners of this card. But that's kind of showing off, you know, your question was the difference between English and Japanese.
Right.
But yeah, even between English sets, you can see some differences. Now let's check out the Japanese. So the Japanese are a little different. I mean, the Shadowless has a pretty extreme orange body and green wing difference.
Okay.
But these ones don't have much of a difference. But look at the flame.
Yeah, like the
English one, the flame is completely holographic.
But the Japanese flame is not
Yep.
at all.
Japanese flame is actually a print like the character. Isn't that kind of cool?
Interesting.
Yep.
And it's a different holographic too.
Yeah. So this one is the galaxy or swirl holographic.
Yeah.
Where these ones are the starry sky. I don't know what you want to call them. But yeah, more stars, more swirls. And then things like, you know, look at the font. You have a black 20 HP versus a red. Look at how they
line up the energies different.
Yep, line up the energies. Like there's a lot of things that are different.
Interesting. And is this like exclusive to vintage sets? Or is this pretty common for all sets?
Well, I don't know. You know, honestly, I was going to think of something clever to say, but honestly, I haven't really thought about it. I've noticed that when it comes to English and Japanese nowadays, because I collect a lot of Japanese vintage, but not a whole lot of
modern Japanese.
Modern Japanese. The one main difference I see is the border is yellow in English, and the border in Japanese is like a white.
Okay.
Which they're switching
now.
They
are. For those that did not know.
Yep.
The Violet Scarlet cards are coming to us in the white, Japanese.
And of course, everyone will know this because by the time they see this, it'll probably be like 2 years in the future, you know, be like, those idiots.
And it might, I mean, that set might already be out.
So, yeah, so there's a big difference. There's actually a lot of cards that in Japan, they made a certain way, and in America, they changed their artwork completely because, you know, for one example, it looked like one of the trainers was about to give the finger. Another example was looks like there's a swastika on one of the cards and came to America and they didn't like that. So switched it up, you know,
which that's actually, I mean, a little more in my wheelhouse, I guess. I do watch a lot of anime. There's actually a lot of anime where they'll have swastikas on them because that symbol is actually a Japanese symbol that the Germans used. It was a symbol used for Buddhist temples for a long time. So you actually used to be able to zoom in on like Google Maps and it would show like a bunch of swastikas on the map because that's the symbol they use for those temples.
Interesting.
Which is no longer a lot of them were removed because of different things,
right?
Where they realized this issue. But it's still a very common symbol in Japanese because it is one of their kanji, I think is what they call.
I'm not Japanese.
I think, anyway.
Sounds right.
The way they write is a kanji, right? I think that's what it's called.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure that's, anyway. But yeah, so there's a show called, I won't get into it. But there's a show called Tokyo Revengers.
We'll get into it and then he gets into it. Let's go.
It's about these gangs, and they have that symbol on their gang uniforms.
Oh, interesting.
But they're not, Nazis.
That's good to know. If we're going down this hole, I'm gonna go a little further, and I actually went to Mongolia for a couple of years, and the swastika is everywhere. It's reversed, but it's because it's like a sign of peace. So, it's on buildings, it's on streets, it's in logos. People have tattoos of it. It's on necklaces. I mean, it's just absolutely everywhere because they have a completely different concept of what this symbol is. Yeah. So fun way to tie in swastika history with vintage Pokemon,
There you go.
It's like whatever.
There you go.
So yeah, recap. Start with modern. is save you some money, get
Okay.
the addiction really like pumped up and fueled. And then when you get like some good coin in your pocket, start going the smart way with vintage cards. Do your research.
Okay.
There's so much information out there to help you with like buying smart rather than impulse buying, or what do you call it when you're like, when you just pull the trigger because it's like, like
That's impulse buy.
there's something else I'm
that's
thinking of.
one.
It's like I'm keeping this film
I'm not
rolling
sure.
until I figure out what I'm thinking about. It's where it's like, panic move. Yeah.
Panic
Panic move. Yeah. Panic move,
I
just
do
buy
that
it,
all
just
the
buy
time.
it. And then
I
it
do
comes
that.
in the mail and it's like bent in half because you didn't read the description.
Or you're like, oh my gosh,
Dude, I've had that.
there's
a couple
only
times.
one.
I've
There's never only one. No, there is. Sometimes there's only one.
I've had that happen recently, like within 4 days of today.
Oh, really?
I bought a card. It was an impulse buy, but I didn't think I was like pulling the trigger too early. I read the description, I thought, and I was like, oh, good. The price seemed right and everything. I get
Okay.
it, and the hollow is just like big chunks of it are gone,
Oh.
and I'm like, what in the world? So I'm about to return it, and I'm like, well, I might as well check to make sure I did it right. And then, yep, big bold letters right next to the name, damaged. I'm like, oh, that's why. But they were selling it for the same price as like a near mint, so I didn't even think. I'm just like, oh, this is 30 cents cheaper. I'll just buy it.
That'll get you.
It was a $7 card, so I'm not super bummed about it.
Yeah, okay.
But it's like, come on.
But it's
like,
kind of bummed because that's still
I would've-
$7.
I would have spent
basically
30
thrown
more
away.
cents for like a better card,
Yeah.
and now I'm gonna have to. So I'll turn that one into a button or something.
Button.
Yeah,
Let's go.
little button. Start wearing buttons on the show.
That could be cool.
Could be, yeah. Each episode we have a new button, and then like 100
Where's the
episodes
button?
in, it's just button. Yeah, where's the button? It's like finding where's
the
Walmart?
button?
Walmart. Where's Waldo?
Where's Walmart?
There's a lot of Walmart news going on in
Everywhere.
Oregon,
Everywhere.
March 2023. So that's why Walmart's spewing out of my mouth. Anyway, so that's what's up.
Cool.
Answer your question.
That does answer my question.
Your burning desire.
So just to recap again, a little bit. If I wanted to start buying Pokemon, like I grew up with Pokemon too. I remember 3rd grade, everyone on the playground was shelling Pokemon cards out, and like this was the original set, right? Back
Mhm.
then. I'm sold.
I'm sold.
But I mean, so like, if I don't have any of those cards again, you would say, hey, if you want to get back in the game, let's start with some modern sets, get back into the game, and then maybe, obviously, the people buying those old cards are us, right? Those of us that did play with them when we were kids, we're trying to get them again.
Pokemon is an adult thing. It's not for kids. Okay? And I don't know how much flack
So
I'm going to
is-
get for that, but it is 100% true. And anyone that argues doesn't understand the game.
So are Legos, though. Let's be real.
Oh, and Legos, yeah. What's for kids today?
Let's be real.
Coco Melon.
Let's
You can
be-
have
yeah.
Coco Melon, you
Yeah.
know, all you want.
You can't have our Pokemon.
Yeah.
So, okay. But anyway, so I would buy new sets, and then maybe as an investment, I would jump into maybe my old cards that I liked back in the
Yeah.
day.
Again, if you don't have a burning desire to just look at these vintage cards because it brings so much nostalgia, then, look at it as an investment or don't touch them at all, is my opinion.
I hear that.
I've been fooled before, though.
There are some cool sets coming out, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm
You won't be
very
disappointed.
excited.
You won't be disappointed. I mean, you'll be disappointed when you buy 50 packs and you only pull one good card out of a bunch of crappy ones. But you won't be disappointed in the idea that all of these sets have some really good, amazing cards. And we're talking about artwork. I don't give a crap about, like, how much HP does it have? How many energies does it take? I don't play the game. I literally just collect. So, yeah, I'm excited for the new modern ones. By the way, like I said, I have plenty of vintage completed sets. I have one modern set complete because it was cheap enough to buy. The rest of my cards,
Wow.
my collections, which is a huge bulk of it that are modern, are just eye candy. Something that it's like, this is visually sexy, but I don't want all the 150 other garbage cards.
Well, and they've done some cool things with the modern sets, like the gold cards, like the rainbow rares,
Yeah.
like the alt arts.
The alt arts are getting amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so you don't just have. I mean, back in the original release, I mean, every Pokemon card was basically the same, except there were some hollows, and
Yeah.
that was it. But
Yeah.
they're like, so they're wild now. It's
Yeah.
just wild.
I
now.
mean, you go from having a card with one character in a pose, and especially if it's hollow, it has like no background. It's just a pose. Now it's like the whole card is filled up. It's not just the little window, and it has like a trainer training the Pokemon,
Yeah.
or it attacking another Pokemon, or something crazy where it's like this looks like a comic book page instead of like just some pose.
that reminds me, we need to get that card with Mewtwo fighting.
Oh, okay.
You know.
I'm like, I don't
You
know
what
what
I'm
this
saying?
means.
You know the one?
Okay, we're gonna let's check out what he's talking about first, real quick. Okay, so this is the card he's doing all that funny hand movement with. So this is Charizard. This is a Charizard card. This is not anything else. But you can see Mewtwo's here in the background, ready to throw some kind of psychic beam at him. Even though there's two highly amazing Pokemon characters in here, it is a Charizard card.
Just a Charizard.
But its alternative, which I wish I had right now, is the exact opposite. So the camera is behind Mewtwo, and you see Charizard in the background, and it is dope.
So it's a Mewtwo card
Right,
with Mewtwo throwing an energy ball at Charizard.
right.
What?
Super dope.
What? See, that's the kind of cool that the modern sets can bring.
The thing is, this Charizard card is a promo. It's practically free. It
Basically
comes
free.
comes in every single box you buy, every Charizard UPC box. So it's like, oh, there's thousands floating around, and for cheap. This guy's opposite, hundreds of dollars. Super hard to pull.
Because not a promo.
Yeah, not a promo. This
Not
one
a
you have to
promo.
pull. It is one of the biggest hits in the set. So it's like they're teasing you with this little guy, and then just kidding, you want the counterpart that you obviously have to have, obviously as a collector.
You do.
Yeah,
You do.
hundreds of dollars. I don't even know what it is. I don't even want to
Ugh.
look it up. It's just gonna make me sick.
It's not. Yeah.
But it's
we need
too
to get
much.
more of those cards.
yeah.
We need to do some more rips of that set. You know.
I mean, we do, but
But the price hasn't dropped yet. We gotta wait.
yeah,
I mean,
that's exactly it.
yeah.
I'm okay buying bulk packs, but not at the highest price point, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, some people are, and some people do it really well. Garbage luck, not going to happen.
For sure.
So, anyway, yeah. Makes sense to me.
So definitely start with those modern. What we learned today
Mm-hmm.
is if you want to get in, start with the most recent modern set. Just get your whistle wet.
Yep. He's
Yeah.
whistling. His wet's what? Yeah, you get it.
Get a little.
Okay.
You know, eat some
okay.
rice. Eat some rice. Anyway, I don't even know.
I don't even, yeah.
Why rice?
What is he talking
I
about?
eat rice. I love rice. Anyway,
Well, so do
that's
I,
why.
but what does that have to do with
Who knows?
whistle
Who
wet?
knows?
Isn't getting your whistle wet like drinking alcohol?
Yeah.
Yeah, just drink.
Yes,
you know?
it is.
Anyway.
Anyway, so jump
But you
into
get
those
it.
modern sets.
Yeah.
You know,
I would say the only way to just jump into vintage is if you just won like hundreds of thousands of dollars and just like wanted to like
That'd be
own them
nice.
all. But that seems so unsatisfying to just completely get them all one shot. You look at them for a week and then it's like, no, I'm bored. What next? It's
Well,
like the fun part is like collecting them over months and months
Yeah.
and struggling over like, I found one for this price and this one, and how can I negotiate and get it cheaper, and which one's better condition? You know, that's
And
that's collecting.
and you know that guy that's selling you that full vintage set is bored of his vintage set
Yeah,
and
yeah.
trying to get some money back.
Right.
So, do you want to be him? You know, later.
No,
Not
you
really.
do not.
Not really.
No, you do not. All right. Yeah. I mean,
There you have it.
also, all of our opinions are the gospel truth doctrine, so follow them to the letter.
Facts.
Sarcasm.
100% facts.
All right. Peace out, guys.